Welcome, fellow explorers, to the shadowy realm where secrets are currency and loyalty is a fragile commodity. Today, we're stepping into the world of espionage, a world of clandestine meetings, coded messages, and life-or-death stakes. We'll uncover the stories of spies who walked this dangerous path, individuals who risked everything for a cause, a country, or a conviction. But this isn't a world of glamorous movie heroes. For many, the final chapter is written in betrayal, capture, and the ultimate sacrifice. Their tales serve as a stark reminder that in the great game of nations, the players are often pawns, and the price of failure is absolute. So, dim the lights and prepare to delve into the lives and dramatic ends of some of history's most notorious spies. Our journey begins during the birth of a nation, amidst the chaos of the American Revolution. Picture this, 1776. The American colonies are ablaze with a fight for independence. In the heart of this conflict is a young, idealistic captain in the Continental Army named Nathan Hale. Barely in his 20s, he was a Yale graduate, a school teacher with a promising future. But when General George Washington needed a volunteer to go behind enemy lines on Long Island to gather critical intelligence on British troop movements, Hale didn't hesitate. He believed so fiercely in the cause of liberty that he was willing to trade his uniform for the guise of a Dutch schoolmaster. For about a week, Hale moved discreetly among the British forces, sketching fortifications and taking notes on their positions. He gathered the vital information Washington desperately needed. But just as he was preparing to return to American lines, his luck ran out. The exact details of his capture remain debated by historians, but the outcome was swift and brutal. He was discovered with incriminating documents hidden on his person. As he was not in uniform, the British considered him an illegal combatant, a spy, and denied him a court-martial. On the morning of September 22nd, 1776, Nathan Hale was led to the gallows, denied a Bible and the presence of a clergyman. He faced his end with a courage that would echo through the centuries. According to those who witnessed his final moments, his last words were a defiant declaration of his principles. "I only regret that I have but one life to lose for my country." With that, Nathan Hale became America's first spy, and its first great martyr of intelligence. His story forever enshrined as a testament to patriotism and sacrifice. Now, let's fast forward nearly 2 centuries, to a world gripped by a new kind of conflict, the Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union stood as two titans, locked in a tense standoff, armed with the most terrifying weapon ever created, the atomic bomb. In this era of paranoia and suspicion, the hunt for spies was relentless. And at the center of one of the most explosive espionage cases of the 20th century were two ordinary Americans, Julius and Ethel Rosenberg. They were a couple from New York City, parents to 2 young sons, and devoted members of the Communist Party. But according to the U.S. government, they were much more than that. They were accused of being the ringleaders of a spy network that stole America's most sensitive information, the secrets of the atomic bomb, and delivered it straight to the Soviet Union. The key figure in this plot was Ethel's brother, David Greenglass, a machinist who worked on the top-secret Manhattan Project at Los Alamos. Greenglass confessed to passing nuclear secrets to Julius, who then, allegedly, passed them on to a Soviet handler. The trial of the Rosenbergs became a national sensation. The prosecution painted them as traitors who had single-handedly given the Soviets the power to threaten the world. The defense, and many supporters around the globe, argued they were victims of Cold War hysteria, scapegoats sacrificed in an atmosphere of anti-communist panic. Despite pleas for clemency from public figures and even the Pope, the verdict was guilty. In 1953, Julius and Ethel Rosenberg were executed by electric chair, becoming the only American civilians ever executed for espionage during the Cold War. To this day, the case remains controversial, a dark and complicated chapter in the history of espionage, raising questions about justice, loyalty, and the fears that can drive a nation. Even as the Cold War waned, the clandestine war of spies continued, and sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one you trust the most. Our next story is about a man who lived a lie for over 2 decades, right inside the heart of American intelligence, Robert Hanssen. On the surface, Hanssen was the model FBI agent, a devout Catholic, a married father of 6, a quiet, intellectual man who specialized in counterintelligence. He was the guy you'd trust to catch spies. But in a shocking twist, Hanssen himself was one of the most damaging double agents in U.S. history. Starting in 1979 and continuing for more than 20 years, Hanssen secretly spied for the Soviet Union and, later, the Russian Federation. He used his high-level access within the FBI to hand over an astonishing amount of classified information. He compromised dozens of human sources, some of whom were executed as a result of his betrayal. He revealed top-secret U.S. intelligence programs, including details of a secret tunnel built under the Soviet embassy in Washington for eavesdropping. For his services, it was paid Aubert $1.4 million in cash and diamonds. For years, the FBI knew there was a mole in their ranks, but Hanssen was so clever, so careful, that he evaded detection. He never met his handlers, communicating through anonymous dead drops. He was finally caught in 2001, when the FBI, with the help of a former KGB officer, lured him into a trap. He was arrested in a park in Virginia, moments after leaving a package of classified material for his Russian contacts. He pleaded guilty to avoid the death penalty and was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Robert Hanssen spent the rest of his days in a supermax federal prison, confined to a small cell for 23 hours a day. He died there in 2023, a lonely end for a man who betrayed his country from the inside out, a chilling example of the enemy within. Our final story takes us across the Atlantic, to the hallowed halls of British intelligence, and to a man who became the archetype of the Cambridge-educated, upper-class traitor, Kim Philby. Harold Kim Philby was charming, brilliant, and impeccably connected. He was a rising star in MI6, Britain's foreign intelligence service. During World War II and the early Cold War, he was trusted with some of the United Kingdom's most sensitive secrets. He was even, at one point, the head of the anti-Soviet section, responsible for hunting the very spies he was working for. Because from his university days at Cambridge in the 1930s, Philby had been a committed communist, secretly recruited by Soviet intelligence. He was the most successful member of the infamous Cambridge Five, a ring of spies that penetrated the highest levels of the British establishment. For decades, Philby played a masterful double game. He passed a treasure trove of information to Moscow, betraying countless Western operations and agents. He sent Allied agents to their deaths, sabotaged anti-communist efforts, and fed his British colleagues a steady stream of disinformation. Suspicion fell on him several times, especially after two of his Cambridge colleagues, Guy Burgess and Donald Maclean, defected to the USSR in 1951. Philby brazenly denied everything, even holding a press conference to proclaim his innocence. For a time, it worked. But by 1963, the net was finally closing. An MI6 colleague and old friend confronted him in Beirut, where he was stationed, with new, undeniable evidence. Cornered, Philby confessed. But before he could be brought back to London to face justice, he vanished. He had defected, smuggled aboard a Soviet freighter to Moscow. Unlike the other spies we've discussed, Philby wasn't executed or imprisoned. He was welcomed in the Soviet Union as a hero. He was given the rank of KGB general and lived a relatively comfortable, if isolated, life in Moscow. He died there in 1988, just before the empire he served collapsed. He was given a hero's funeral, an honored traitor who, in his own mind, had simply chosen the other side and won. From the gallows of the American Revolution to the grim cells of a supermax prison, from the electric chair to a hero's burial in Moscow, the fates of spies are as varied as their motives. Nathan Hale died a martyr for a new nation. The Rosenbergs became polarizing symbols of the Cold War's ideological fury. Robert Hanssen rotted away in prison, a lonely traitor undone by his own greed and ego. And Kim Philby lived out his days as an honored guest of the regime he served, a master of deceit who got away. These stories reveal the profound risks and the complex moral landscape of the world of espionage. It's a world where betrayal can be seen as patriotism, and where one person's hero is another's villain. The only certainty is that the great game of secrets never truly ends, and those who play it are always just one misstep away from paying the ultimate price. Thanks for joining me on this exploration into the shadows. If you found these stories as fascinating as I do, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more journeys into the hidden corners of history. Until next time, stay curious.